Hello, my name is Steph Morrison from the Canadian Schoolhouse, and I am here today with Lisa Marie Fletcher from the Canadian Homeschooler. I had to make sure I'm saying those words right because we're so close.
Yeah.
Very Canadian here today. So Lisa Marie is joining us to share a little bit about choosing curriculum because I think she is with some of the stuff you're going to find out that she's been behind and help people with. She's going to have great insight to this. So thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa Marie.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. So why don't we start off where you just share a little bit about your experience as a homeschooler, as well as what you do at the Canadian Homeschooler.
Sure. So I started my homeschool adventure back in a million years ago, maybe not that far. My oldest is about to be 17, like on this weekend. So we started when he was in JK. He wasn't quite ready for school yet. He was struggling with some anxiety issues. And I tried the whole everyone pressures you, sign him up for JK. So I thought, okay, I'll sign him up for JK. And he was like, nope. The whole experience didn't work out very well. So I thought, I'm in ECE in my background. I'm sure I can handle kindergarten. And so I decided to homeschool for kindergarten. And here we are, grade 11. So it's been a lot longer than just kindergarten. So that was our adventure. I have 5 kids in total now, and they range in age from, grade 11 down to SK, which is getting ready for grade 1. So she'll be 6 at the end of the next month. So I've got quite the range of children from teenagers through preschool. So it kind of makes a crazy fun adventure. So, and then about 11 years ago, I decided, as I was getting going on my homeschool adventure, and I had started my adventure with a box curriculum from the United States because both my sister-in-laws at that time were homeschooling. And I thought, I'll just use what they're using because that's easy and they like it. And I got a little tired of my children coloring American flags. So I decided that I needed to look and see if there was Canadian content out there. And as I was searching, I thought, well, if I'm looking, I bet other people are looking too. And so that started the Canadian Homeschooler. And it's exploded from there. I no longer just share resources I found, but I do that as well. But I also create my own resources and support the homeschooling community however I can. And so I do that through a plethora of options, and maybe too many because there's only so many hours in the day, and I often wonder how I get everything done. But I run the Canadian Homeschooler. I also run an annual online homeschool conference every February, and I have a homeschool community as well. So we have lots of ways to try and support the homeschooling community. My mission is to help homeschoolers across Canada connect with each other and with resources to help them on their journey.
Ah, wonderful. And so I was part of that. The Canadian Schoolhouse was part of your conference in February. And although I've heard of it before, this was the first year that I'd ever really participated in it. And now you did the online conference so how many years has it been now?
This year's the 5th year.
5th year, yes. So you've done it for a number of years. You didn't just go virtual because it was the thing to do more in the last year.
Yeah.
And it was really great. I mean, just the activity that I saw on the, so with just the homeschoolers, right? The activity that I saw on the Facebook group you had, and I love seeing the feedback that you got from all the homeschoolers. I mean, that not only gauges great planning ideas for the future, but just to show how helpful it was for people, because it can be difficult to travel. I'm going to say I admit I've never been to a homeschooling conference before, like a live one, although I always love the idea of going to one when they come up and somewhat in my area. I thought that would be great to go to, but to make the time to leave home, to drive wherever it is, possibly stay overnight or a few nights is really restrictive for some people. So that was great that we've had that option, with a real Canadian focus for 5 years with you leading that up, and lots of fun work that it is, I'm sure.
That's good fun.
So on that, we're going to share a couple of resources that can really help you, all you homeschoolers out there, all you people thinking about homeschooling, that can really help you choose curriculum, and especially Canadian curriculum. And it's not like there's only, because we're Canadian, we should only have Canadian curriculum. Like I do use stuff from other places all over the world, and it's great stuff. But there's certain subjects for sure, or certain areas of study that we like to have Canadian companies for. Or if you're like me and you like to try to get as local as you can, and I do that in my own little area where I'm living geographically in central Ontario, and I certainly, even when I'm shopping online, I'm still trying to find Canadian options before I go abroad. So we want to offer that option to you. So I'm going to give you two resources. One is on the Canadian Schoolhouse page, and Christine is going to pop that in the link for us, or sorry, pop that link in the comments. So you should see that in the comments for our sponsor page there. And we are just starting to compile a list there. It's not very big yet, but it is getting filled up with Canadian companies. So really the focus for that page on the Canadian Schoolhouse site is for Canadian companies. Now they can be offering a variety of things, but that's Canadian companies, curriculum companies, anything to do with the homeschooling life and homeschooling families. And then with that online conference that you had in February, Lisa Marie, you also have a vendor page on there. So that is all Canadian companies. Am I correct on that? It's all Canadian companies on that vendor page, or not?
Almost all of them are Canadian, or they want to share with the Canadian community. So.
So they have a focus on really forming their products, developing products for Canadians. So that link as well can be in the comments. So that's to the vendor page of the Canadian Online Homeschool Conference. So that happens every February. So you go ahead and mark that on your calendar and make sure you get part of that. Because this is actually a free conference, right? And you only charge to be able to view it after. Is that still what your plan is for next year? Because of course things can change, but.
No, that's always my plan. I want things to be accessible. I remember being poor and broke and one single income and trying to figure this thing out. So I want everybody who's homeschooling to have an opportunity to participate at whatever price point they can afford. So free makes it accessible for everyone. And I just ask if you want to have access for longer or more, more access during the conference, then you can just upgrade to a pass if you want to. It's not obligatory.
Mm-hmm. What was my next thing? For a couple of things I saw on your site. So just preparing for this and getting to talk to you. And then I'm going to go and see the different things. Now, there's actually lots of things on Lisa Marie's site for all kinds of learning material on there, and just getting started. She actually has a great, and we even share that on our Schoolhouse Teachers page. We actually share that document because it's such a great one of how to start homeschooling in Canada. Did I get that title right?
I'm not sure which one exactly that you mean. If it's my ebook, that's no longer available, but I do have a whole section on my website that's for getting started on as well. Yeah. If it's for the print book, so I have a print book version now.
On there now. Yeah. Right. Okay. So the How to Homeschool in Canada book, I see that on your page there. I think that's might be what we have. Is that something that that's a resource you still have there?
I do. I'm not sure exactly which link you have, but we do have options on my website to help you figure out how to get started with homeschooling. Whatever, we'll figure out the links later. I haven't checked to see.
Yeah, you can just go on the home page there, right on her home page. Yeah. She has just a nice
get started
column there, a row there of a few different things, and one of those being and not that homeschooling is that different. And I say that like the old Schoolhouse, which we're a Canadian division of, and I talk a lot to homeschoolers in the United States. Homeschooling is really similar all across the board, right? All across the world. There's lots of similarities, but it's great when you can get things really focused on your own country, especially when we come to like geography and history. And so another, one of those other cool resources on your site was the Canadian time capsule. So why don't you tell us about that? We actually have a review. So Christine, you can go ahead and pop that link in the comments there for the review that we have on our site of of Lisa Marie's product. And I believe you were saying that it's just a little bit different. You've recently updated that. So just go ahead and tell us what that is and what's the new stuff you've changed on it.
So it's basically the same. It's just that I've changed the platform so it's easier to access because people couldn't find it. It was buried somewhere when they were looking for it, but I found it now. We made it into a course platform so it's easier. So basically what it is 12 units, moments in Canadian history, where you can pop in and learn about that particular moment in history. So instead of being like this big comprehensive study of Canadian history, the idea is to zoom in closer, because I know myself, I have always thought Canadian history is boring. And a lot of people feel the same way. It's just how it's been presented to us. We don't have we don't have a long history. We don't have a big flashy history. We don't have a big like moment, we have a long history if we consider our Indigenous history as well. But our European centric history is pretty short. And so we don't have a lot. So for me, what I realized was instead of looking at the big overall picture, zooming in closer into specific moments makes it more interesting because suddenly you're involved into that moment and get to experience that moment. So I took 12 of those moments, such as the Klondike Gold Rush, the Great Depression, the Halifax Explosion, the Frank Slide, those kinds of things, and created unit studies about them. So each unit comes with a bunch of activities, and they vary per month depending on the various topics. So for the Klondike Gold Rush, you very obviously get an opportunity to learn how to pan for gold and to create your own sludge, whatever it's called, dredge. I can't remember what it's called off the tongue. Can't get it out of my head. But that, and then you get to learn about how they did up the Chilkoot Pass with that amazing mountain climb with all the things on their backs that they had to carry. You have to figure out how much it would cost for you to have a year's worth of supplies, which was required by the RCMP at the time, or the Northwest Police. They required everyone to have a specific amounts of stuff so they would survive when they got to the north instead of just all dying there. And there's a whole bunch of other things, like you write letters home and you watch video and you map it out. Every time we try to do a map and a video so that you can kind of get an idea more about it. So every month or every unit you can do it. Originally it was a monthly unit, but now people can do it. You can do it whatever you want. And then you just enjoy the opportunity to get hands-on. I'm not a big worksheet kind of person. I like things to be hands-on and busy and do activities and stuff. So that's where I kind of fall in. So if you're doing a Canadian homeschooling, you're doing a Canadian curriculum, it can come alongside with that, or you can use it independently on your own. So it's all easy to use, easy to follow. Everything's on the page. You just click and follow everything to where it needs to go. And I just updated it because a lot of, recently there was some changes to like the Flash platform. So some of the awesome games that I had found online are no longer available. So I just went through the whole thing and made sure that all the video links work and I changed out anything that was missing to something different, new, or that's working, so that you don't have any dead games and activities anymore. So.
Yeah, great. And something that totally going off script, I didn't even think of this before, but as you're talking, one of the things I'm always curious about and love to know about for people that are making curriculum is what is it that you're a homeschooling mom and you probably did that for maybe a number of years before you actually started creating curriculum. But what is it that really got you to thinking like, I want to create my own curriculum as well as what is your favorite curriculum too? Because I think you cover a few different. That one was obviously a history-based one, well, geography too. But what's your favorite subject to cover in as you're creating curriculum?
Okay, well, why did I start creating it? I started creating it because I found that a lot of Canadian history programs were very book-centric, and my kids don't do books well. We're working towards that with some of my older ones, but when they were younger, getting them to sit for longer than 5 minutes with a book open was impossible. There'd be kids climbing on top of each other and wrestling and roughhousing, and I was ready to throw kids out the door. So for me, everything had to be hands-on, active, engaging, and busy. So I wanted to create that for other people as well, so that they could, if they couldn't handle the book aspect, there was options available. So that's where I originally started creating curriculum for my community, for us. As for what's my favorite subject? Is that what you're asking, to teach or to create? Which one were you?
Yeah. And even to teach as a homeschool mom, but yeah, also to create curriculum for others on?
Well, that's a good question. What subject is my favorite to teach? I don't know if I have a favorite subject to teach. I'm currently enjoying language with
That
my
could be hard.
oldest, my number two. I honestly, I just love anything that they get engaged and excited about. Seeing them get excited makes me excited too, right? So I can be passionate and excited and try to encourage my kids to love medieval history like I love medieval history, and they could care less. And then it kind of kills everything, right? So for me, it's more like if they're engaged and interested, I'm totally passionate and excited about it. So for example, my kid number two, he's grade 9 this year. So we started an English program, and he's been really doing well with me sitting and reading with him. And I'm really enjoying our discussions and our conversations around the various books that we've been reading. And some of the challenging concepts that have been coming up has been really interesting to me. And then my little guys are passionate about dinosaurs right now, like loving dinosaurs and loving some, historical stuff. So when they're engaged and excited, I'm totally excited to do it with them. So we've been making things like fossils out of Play-Doh and making like many artistic impressions of dinosaurs. So anytime that my kids are engaged, I'm totally excited. If it's forced learning, I'm not good at it. I tune out just as much as they do. So and as for creating stuff, I just enjoy making things that I think people will need or want. I guess I'd be happy creating anything people need if I can find a fun way to make it entertaining and learning and encouraging people. So.
And so do you cover a few different subjects on your site then, as far as like, do you get into English, language arts kind of stuff? Do you cover various subjects, or is it just one or two?
Right now, I only have...
I guess really you mentioned unit studies.
Yeah.
And really unit studies do tend to cover
lots of things.
Quite a few subjects, I guess.
Yeah. So the main subjects you'll find on my website right now are history and geography. They both have I have a program for each one of them. There's a trip across Canada, which is a virtual trip across Canada based on my experience as a young person in a trailer. I went across Canada with my family every summer. So I thought of all the cool places we saw when I was growing up. And so I wanted to create that for my family because we're never going to be hopping in a trailer and heading across Canada. So we made a virtual version of that. And that's turned into an activity for that as well. So that's there. Those are the main subjects. Maybe in a secret kind of way, there is future hope for an actual Canadian homeschooler curriculum, but it's in the very not ready to share with anybody stages yet. So
just a little peek there at maybe something going to happen, eh? So the other thing you have coming up, and wow, I've going through your February, I guess that's a couple of months ago, but now you're putting on a curriculum showcase. And maybe that was a little bit, did that come from some of the feedback you got from the conference from some of the homeschoolers that you thought there's maybe something that we could do just on curriculum?
Yeah, absolutely. So the conference focused heavily on the community and teaching them and helping them and supporting them. So a lot of the sessions were really focused on, the homeschooling experience. And I was trying to think of what we could do, because I know a lot of families like to go to in-person conferences and flip open books and talk to publishers and companies and kind of take a feel for what they are doing. And at that time, we did a spontaneous curriculum showcase night where we just had different stores and different people share their curriculum that they had and throw it up on Zoom, hold it up to the screen. And it went well, but people were really missing that component of being able to talk with and see and that experience. So I got a lot of feedback after the conference on the feedback form saying, I really wish we could chat with the different companies or get to see what's available out there. So I talked to a bunch of the vendors and they said they would totally be willing to do it. So we're going to put this showcase together where different companies can show their curriculum or their resource behind the scenes and explain how it works. It's going to be from May 17th to the 22nd, and every day we'll have a theme. So like, for example, Math Monday, and we say Text Tuesday, which is language, those kinds of things.
I love how
so that we can, Yeah, and then www.wednesday, because we're trying to tie it in, and then throwback Thursdays for history and geography. Friday is full force Friday for full curriculum, and then Saturday will be stores on Saturday. So just to give people an opportunity to know what's out there in the Canadian community and see if anything will match the needs that they have.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. I thought that was a really neat idea, and I can tell you just love getting creative. Not only just creating this whole curriculum showcase, but just how you played around with those words for each day. I love that.
I have to make it fun for me too.
So
right?
the curriculum, yeah. So as you can see, even at the bottom of the screen, if you're viewing that curriculum showcase happening May 17th to 22nd, and I can't see it right now, but I'm pretty sure Christina's put a link in there where that is on. So it's part of the Canadian Online Homeschooling Homeschool Conference website. So you can go on there and check it out. What was the other thing I thought of talking about? It came in my head, and let me see if I'm going to think of it quickly. Maybe you can, oh, you know what it is. It's we talked a little bit about this before we started, and so I really want to impress upon people, and that's why, as Lisa Marie is doing this curriculum showcase, you are going to see, just a wide array of different ways that our children can learn. And that's one of the things I often say in these videos, and that I really want to impress on people when I'm talking to them, is that, we're really used to that public school setting. Although I have school, sorry, although I have my two kids, my camera on my side went out. I don't know if that happened, if anybody else saw that. Did I stay on screen for you, Lisa Marie?
Yep, you're still there. You just kind of went a little wonky for a minute.
Okay. And that just threw me off. Anyway, get back to my train of thought here. So homeschooling does not need to be letting. When that's what we're familiar with, of how big class settings, one teacher, a couple teachers, and a big bunch of kids, then it's all right? So just as a homeschooler, maybe you've been homeschooling for a while and tried some different curriculums, just know there's so many ways to homeschool. And actually, Lisa Marie shared lots of great ways how her kids are. She's not big on worksheets, and her kids aren't necessarily, I said that a few times myself. It's like my kids, I really wanted to, there's a few different kinds of curriculum that I just really love the way it was laid out, love how it focused on literature and different types of really English kind of skills, and it was just not for my kids. And I've shifted and changed things a few times over the years. I would say for about 7 years now, I've been homeschooling, like real structured homeschooling. My boys are 10 and 13, so I do say sometimes I've been homeschooling since birth, because I knew that's what I was going to do as soon as they were born. But I wanted to really impress upon anybody that's watching that homeschooling is a really, it's different from one family to the other. And if you're not too into the homeschooling world yet, or I should just say the homeschooling community, and you don't know a lot of homeschooling families, you're going to find that soon enough. The more families it's like, wow, they do things so differently than us, and you just need to find what works for you. So this curriculum showcase that's coming up in near the end of May, that's going to be a great opportunity to see all those different things that are available. Get part of a community as well. Lisa Marie has a great online. Am I right? Is it just the conference Facebook group you have, or do you have another homeschooling community as well?
So the Facebook group for the conference is, let me run that. Okay. Mouth, brain, connect. All right, so there is a community on Facebook for anybody who participates in the conference or anything. They can join us there. Absolutely, it's just Canadian Online Homeschool Conference, I believe. You can find the group. That's not a problem. I do have my Facebook page as well, where I chat with people. But I do run an actual Canadian homeschool community group. It's separate from everything. You can find it through my website. It's just it's a paid membership. People participate, and we do classes, and we do activities, and we do field trips, and we have hangout days for moms and dads it's usually just the moms, but we hang out and we talk and support and encourage and complain about being locked in our houses, etc., or whatever we need to talk about at that particular time. So I do that one as well. But if you want to just come and join me, I'm on my Facebook page as the Canadian Homeschooler, or you can join the conference group or the Homeschool Swap Canada group. Those are the three that I'm most of the time I'm hanging out on Facebook.
Awesome. Great. Well, go and join some kind of community. See how different everybody that homeschools really does do it differently, and just be sure that you're going to find the way that works best for your family. I know that homeschooling for our family is. I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine sending my kids away. I mean, nobody can do that right now, but. At least in Ontario. But I couldn't imagine putting my kids in school all day long, even though I did that with one child without even thinking, well, until about 5 or 6 years, and school was really hard for him, which is the reason why my next two children, where I knew right away I was going to homeschool them. But I couldn't imagine not having my kids around and not being that main influence in their life. And so there's just so many great aspects to homeschooling, not just that you get to pick out the education that your kids have, but just the family bonds that you create, the family bonds that your children create together, those sibling bonds, way beyond even being able to express that into words. So, oh, and I see a question here. So how can I recommend a curriculum for review or potential inclusion in the showcase?
So, Alina, if you message me either on Facebook, or you can email me at thecanadianhomeschooler@gmail.com. You can just send me a message and let me know what you would recommend, and I can see whether I connect with them. I just want to be clear that I'm mostly focusing on Canadian companies or Canadian products, although I'm willing and open to talk about other companies if they are a good fit for the thing. I can't have every single company, unfortunately, because that would take us a lifetime to get through. But so right now I'm just focusing mostly on Canadian ones. But you're more than welcome to message me and let me know if you have somebody that I might have missed.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to end that for now and say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me, Lisa Marie. It was great to talk to you. I know we've emailed quite a bit over different things, so it's wonderful to see your face, to see your live moving face instead of just the little Facebook face, right? So everybody out there watching, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching this recording, go and check out all those links and resources we gave you, and just have lots of fun homeschooling. Bye for now.